All right, let's get this professional. This is YouTube. Gotta be the best. Hey guys, welcome back to another Moto Drink video. I'm Randy, and I'm sorry for the long delay of no videos. Truth is, it's been summertime, and I really wanted to spend some time actually riding the bike rather than editing video all the time, because that's really what it takes most of the time I do in these videos is editing, probably because I'm not a professional editor. That said, I've taken some really cool trips, I've picked up some new ideas, and I have a better appreciation for life on the road. Incidentally, I also had to deal with a bamboo infestation, so if any of you have questions on that, I'm happy to give you any advice I can. Today I thought I'd kick in with a little low-key topic, something that's not highly technical but is highly disputed, and if you're riding with groups of people or friends, you're inevitably going to discuss headsets and Bluetooth intercom. So forgive me if I had to make a clickbaity title for this. Of course I want people to watch my videos, but really I think the conversation is what's important. Now I have here a Sena 20S and a Scala Rider from Cardo. Now this is an old model and this is an old model. However, I have used the new models, and let's talk about the differences between the two, because these are the major brands to deal with. Now, just as a disclaimer, those are not the only two brands that you can go with regarding a Bluetooth headset. There's plenty of other companies out there. I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and spend the extra few bucks and consider one of these two companies, because you're really paying for the support and the ongoing development of the product. Essentially, you're going to have a much happier long-term ownership of that product if you go with one of these major brands. Think of it like this. If you're going to go with an Android phone, would you rather have a Samsung Galaxy or maybe some Google sponsored device, or would you rather have a knockoff Android device that may only get one or two updates in its entire life? That said, there is other products out there, and you can use them to communicate with other headsets. Alright guys, well first I want to start by saying neither one of these is the best. Okay? Now I've been using a Sena because that's the first one I purchased, essentially. My wife and I bought a dual setup. Now, Cardo and Sena both sell dual package products. They kind of figure that you might have a passenger riding with you. You can save a few bucks by buying two together, or maybe you and a buddy, something like that. You just split the cost. It really is the way to do it, by the way, because you do save some money rather than just buying them individual. Now let's get into some pros and cons of the devices. For Sena, the things that I like about this device, now this is the older model. They still sell a 20S as an Evo. They have an updated model of it basically with a different looking antenna device. I don't really know that it works any better. I haven't had too many actual communication problems with this particular device. Now the Sena has at least the 20S model has this wheel, which actually works pretty well even with gloves. To give you an idea, whether I'm using my full gauntlet gloves or my heavy-duty winter gloves, I'm still able to use the controls. The button on the back, there's not a lot going on back there, so it's easy to get to. I really have no problem with the interface. Now that said, there's far too many options on this to memorize. You could memorize them, but if you go through the list, there's all kinds of commands and it gets weird because there's these features, even the radio, I never use it. I might listen to music on my phone or a podcast, make a phone call, take a phone call, and talk to other riders. That's really the only functionality that I need out of this, and I imagine a lot of you guys are the same as me. So I think one thing that would be nice about this particular device is to be able to just shut all that other stuff off within the menu of the device. You can shut some things off, but not everything. And I've had it do really crazy things with another person on the line where my music's playing through their headset, and if you contact, Sena about it, they're going to say, well, you have music sharing on. I don't know how I turned it on. It just happens sometimes. sometimes it just does crazy things. And that's really the kicker here, is that whether you're talking about a Cardo product or a Sena product, they are both quirky. Now I will tell you, Cardo has actually sent me a Pack Talk to review, which Pack Talk is the new latest and greatest model. It compares to the 30K version of the Sena, and it was better than my 20S. That said, it had its own quirks. The interface for the UI on when you plug it in the computer was really wonky at the time. Now they've changed that, so I'm trying to be fair. They were really great to deal with, and I'm no one on YouTube, so when they send me something to review, that really impresses me. And they told me beat up the product if I found things I didn't like about it. Very rarely will you find a company who wants honest feedback when they send you a review device. I can't imagine Sena's going to be sending me anything, because I can tell you right now, there's a lot of things about this that make me want to pull this off my helmet and just chuck it down the road. Occasionally, you'll be riding and you'll have the volume turned way down. Maybe you're listening to talk radio, whatever you're listening to, music, softly, and it'll ring, someone will call you, and it will ring at maximum volume. And unless you have earplugs inserted all the time, it is deafeningly loud. Or sometimes you'll do a function and certain functions will be incredibly loud while the rest is quiet. If you discuss this problem or go to the forums, they'll say, well, check the volume of the device, check the volume of the internal settings of the... It's too much. When you're on the bike, you can only do so much. I understand my phone has a volume and this has a volume, but it's really hard to find the balance. A tip I can give you is, at least on an iPhone, is to turn down your iPhone a little bit, because hey, that helps. That said, it is very, almost enraging to have these crazy loud bursts of sound, or to have interface issues where my audio is going to my passenger and they have no control over what they're hearing. So, you know, when you're trying to just get on the bike and ride somewhere, electronic problems are very frustrating. It's not just in the house that it's frustrating. Another thing about the Sena that is seen as a downside is that these are not actually waterproof or listed as really greatly water resistant. That being said, I live in Oregon and I ride year round here. Rain, snow, sun, doesn't matter. I ride all the time, and I haven't had no problems with it. So it doesn't say it's waterproof or resistant, but I tend to think that it is, since I ride through torrential rain at times. So it could be one of those things where maybe Sena just doesn't want to pay the testing agency and they're trying to save a few bucks, something like that. You have to understand that this product may actually be water resistant. They just don't want to go through the rigmarole to actually get it classified as such. When you do go and ride your KLR 650 into a lake, I probably wouldn't be wearing this. Now on to the Cardo, because that's the primary contender for the Sena. Now this is an older model, the Scalar Rider. It was a budget product. Again, Cardo, I'm really impressed with their technical support. They seem very invested in their products, and their service is excellent. So if I had to just go and pick one of the new models, I'm honestly tempted to go towards the Cardo. Now the Cardo Pack Talk took me a little more time to get used to the UI, and that's largely because I'm just so indoctrinated by the wheel and button on my Sena that it's not really a fair assessment to say that one is better than the other. Both are very usable with gloves. I had no real issues. I think maybe the Sena was a smidge better on the 20S, but that's not to say that the 30K is. I haven't used that one. I know the 30K is a little more sleek and has a smaller wheel. And part of what makes this easy is the size of everything, and that the whole thing is a button, not just the middle. You can actually push anywhere. Now the Cardo, I had some issues as well. I had audio clicking sounds, cutting out, things that, you know, again, when you're riding, it feels like you're helpless and you're just dealing with it. So one last tip I want to give you is, you don't need to take my word for which of these two products is better. The 30K, the Pack Talk, they're both great devices. They really are. They're good devices. They're quirky sometimes, but they're both pretty good. They both connect pretty well with their own, And that's what I want to get into is you should probably consider buying the product that your friends or whoever you're with is going to be using. So maybe you're a Sena fan, but if everyone else in your group is using the Cardo Pack Talk system, I'm going to recommend Cardo Pack Talk because it's going to connect a lot more seamlessly. Yes, you can actually connect dissimilar devices nowadays, but I have found that it doesn't work so great. The audio quality kind of suffers. You can tell that these devices were not really made for that. It's just apparent when you start to try and do it. I have actually connected that Cardo, that old Cardo, to that 20S, and it sounded like crap. Consider what your friends are going to be buying. Also consider giving the advice to your friends that they don't want to go cheapskate on these. So, you know, buy a dual pack and split the cost. It's worth the extra few bucks. You get what you pay for in this case. Much like a helmet. We'll be talking about those next. Well, that's all, guys. I just wanted to give you my 2 cents on these products. I've wasted a lot of money on stuff. You know, I don't use this old Cardo anymore, but I still have it. So, I mean, I might as well give you my feedback on these things. And the reality is that I don't necessarily think one's better than the other. They're kind of in a rat race with each other. You know, sometimes a major improvement is done with one that brings it ahead, and then the other one catches up. You know, this is technology we're talking about, so this is going to be common. And in a couple of years, your 30K and your Pack Talk are going to be replaced with a new flagship model. So keep that in mind as well. These are not cheap devices, but they are very useful. Yes, they can promote sort of distracted riding if you're constantly fidgeting with them and stuff like that. But I find that on a long trip, it really is a nice rider aid. So I can easily answer a call from the wife. Yep, I'm alive, I'm okay. I'll call you when I get to the next place. Sorry for the lack of fancy stuff riding. We're going to get into some new reviews. We're going to review the Tiger 1200, the 2019 model. That's going to be a really fun one to do since I own a Tiger 1200. And we're going to be doing a lot more work on the Hayabusa. That's right. So we want to get this bike in the One Moto Show. And Alex and I from AM Customs are going to get together and we're going to start phase 3 of, well, let's call it Flare. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching and thanks for subscribing. It's been really fun making these videos. If you like what you see, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell icon because it tells you when I make these videos. YouTube's algorithms only promote certain types of content, and typically that's only for consumer-based stuff. So in this case, I'm not selling you anything. Yes, I know I have ads enabled, but trust me, I'm investing all of that money, anything I make, which is very little at this point, into the channel so I can make it better. Cameras, editing software, things like that. So you guys ride safe. I'll catch you next time.